Hi everyone, and welcome to the first stream of the Rainbow Racing League. Here we are today at Lime Rock Park for the Formula 1600 Season 1 Round 1 of the Rainbow Racing League. I'm your host, Lovely Unicorn. You can find me on Twitch, but my name's Frank Gaffer. I'm an iRacer for about 2 or 3 years. And yeah, this is my first time commentating, so be kind to me. I'm very excited to be commentating the Rainbow Racing League here. And we've got currently the cars on track for practice, so we're just going to watch the end of practice here and then shortly go into a short qualifying period. So we've got, I think, 15 minutes of qualifying followed by a 30-minute race. So as you can see, the driver's just getting comfortable with the track at the moment. Um, and yeah, it will be a very interesting race. A lot of iRacers with differing levels of time they've been in iRacing and skills and ability. So it'll be good to see who comes out on top. So like I said, we've got a 30-minute practice session here. We're about halfway through, so about 10 to 15 minutes to go of practice. And as you can see, George Williams, they're sitting on top at the moment. It's a very close qualifying period, to be honest. We've got the top three covered by less than a second, zero point 0.8 of a second, and then fourth place not too far away, but I'm sure that speed will come, and it'll be a pretty close battle. We should have up to 10 drivers competing in this first round, and we've got about 6 to 7 in the lobby at the moment, so just waiting for people to get out on track. So now let's just have a bit of a look at some of the other drivers that are on track. We've got George here. Here's Matthew Baker, just out, sitting in second place at the moment. 57.6. Oh, and George just went in for a huge lap there, 56.8. So, yeah, I wonder whether any of these guys can get, guys or girls can get back or down into the 56s. That'll be very, very interesting to see as the end of practice comes. We've got 7 minutes 30 to go, and then into qualifying. And here's Hayley Leno sitting in third. Yeah, as I said, she's within 0.8 of a second, just like Matthew, so pretty close. It'll be interesting to see how these times play out in a race situation as well. 30 minutes is a very, very long time in these cars. Just for everybody's knowledge as well, there's no rain predicted, so this will be a dry race. Hope Jess wins. um, for anybody watching, and that's Jess in the chat. She's the CEO and founder of Rainbow Racing, Jessica Perry, and she's in the lobby at the moment. She's sitting in fourth position. And yeah, this league's been set up by her, and yeah, I'm sure she's hoping for a very, very good race going forward. So let's just have a look at if there's anybody else on track. Here's Jessica, as I mentioned, out on track here in the Marlboro livery, throwback to the McLaren Formula One cars from the late 80s, early 90s. Very, very nice livery. Nice livery there with the pink wheels. So we've got about just over 5 minutes to go now. So for anybody that doesn't know iRacing, the Formula 1600 is one of the oh, into the tyre wall. Oh no. Oh, that's alright. It's only practice. It was very, very easy to do on that corner there. Um, let's just grab Haley up as they come along. It was very, very easy to do on that last corner there. You get a bit of that curb on the inside of the corner, and it just chucks you off into the grass on the outside. And once you're on the grass, you're a passenger. So everybody's done it. I've definitely been in the tyre war plenty of times there. um, but like I was saying, the Formula 1600 car is an entry level formula car in iRacing. So if you're looking to get into formula racing and progress up through the ladder, Formula 1600 is where you start. It's one of the cars you would use during rookies, and pretty competitive. It'd be quite chaotic out there outside of Legoland in the Formula 1600s, but when you get a good bunch of people, it's pretty fun. And the Class D Formula 1600 now has rain, so if people are looking to experience rain on iRacing, it is a very, very good car to sort of spend some time practicing in. And the thing about these cars as well is there's no aero, so it really does require a lot of finesse, and it does require a lot of patience as well with the accelerator and with your steering movements. Um, but anyway, we've got Haley here. We might, when we get to the end of this lap, maybe we'll go for a bit of an onboard ride just to get a bit of a feel of what the track's like. So she's coming around to the last few corners at the moment. And here we go, we'll go on board. And we'll have a bit of a ride around the track with Haley. So that's a full lap there of Lime Rock Park. And as you can see, it's a pretty fast flowing circuit. There's not a lot of time for a break other than the long straight. And it is a bit of a challenge in these cars. So let's just see who else is out on track at the moment. Here we go, here's Matthew Baker, as I mentioned before, sitting in third position. The times haven't really shifted that much, although Haley has really improved, and they actually improved while we're on board with them just then, which is really, really great to see. So 57.0, only 2 tenths away from the top spot at the moment, so really, really close at the front there. We've got a minute. Oh, Matthew just having a bit of a spin there. Let's maybe go back and see what happened there. There we go. See, just like we mentioned, managed to save it, but just like Jessica earlier in practice, that last corner, when you get it wrong, it bites. Um, and so, yeah, what can you say? What can you say? We've all been there. We've all been off on the grass. 2 cars in this practice session. Not surprising. People trying to find the limits before qualifying, so they can put a good lap in. So here we are back with Jessica. They've improved their time. Oh no, still 59.5. So yeah, so we've got the top top three, as I mentioned, covered by point 0.8, and there's another driver that's just gone out actually. So we might, there's not enough time for that person to set a time, so we're going to go right into qualifying now. So that's your final order there in the top left of the corner. George sitting on a 56.8, Haley on a 57 flat, Matthew Baker on a 57.6, and Jessica sitting there on a 59.5. So that's the finishing positions at the moment for the practice. And now what we're going to do is go into a 15-minute qualifying. So usually on iRacing, qualifying is setting 2 laps on your own on the track, and you've got the track to yourself to concentrate and to get a bit of a feel for things. But the way that things are going to happen here in this league is that it's going to be like real life. So we've got 15 minutes, all the cars on the track, and everybody has been counselled to be respectful of each other and not, take up space or impede anybody in qualifying. So this will be a skill in itself to find space on the track to make sure you're setting a time and not getting in anybody's way. And so here's Amy. Amy just jumped on track just before the end of practice. So they haven't set a lap yet in that 30-minute practice session, I don't think. And so it'll be very interesting to see what their times are here in qualifying. They've got the Williams blue with the Duracell livery, which I love. Probably that Duracell battery on the Williams livery is one of the best going. Oh, hey, Free F Media, number 40. All right, George, that's you, George. Welcome to the chat. Going well. You were top of the pops in practice, so congratulations. Amy's having a bit of a problem just acclimatizing to the track, but we've got 15 minutes to go. So, still time. And here's Matthew Baker just coming out of the pits. Oh, what's going on here? Hey Neon, how you going? Welcome to the chat. We're just Matthew's had a bit of a disconnect, I think there. Let's find somebody else. Here's Haley. Bit going on here. Yeah, Neon, if you've just joined, we're in qualifying at the moment. We've got about 12 minutes to go. And Haley's the only one out there that's set a time. So we just started qualifying, 58.1. Actually, I think that might be a... No, Haley was in the 57s actually, in practice. So 58.1 is a good banker. It's only about 5 tenths off what she said in practice, 57.8. And there we go, there's George, 57.8, right in there. Up to pole. Gap of about 5 tenths at the moment. And we're interested to see if anybody can get close to George. George, top practice, and looks like the one to beat at the moment. So it looks like Haley's the only one out there setting quick times. Haley and George are the only two out on track at the moment, setting decent enough times. Oh, hard hit there for George. Bit of a shame because they are setting very, very good times. But the thing with iRacing is you can reset to the pits in qualifying and get a bit of a repair on and head straight out. So hopefully he'll be able to get back out and set some times. There we go, we've got Jessica on the board now, here in qualifying. So we've got three drivers at the moment who've set times. 59.7, which is a little bit faster than than what Jess set in practice, I think. So a bit of an improvement there. Shows that practice is really useful. This last corner here, oh, same mistake as George. So this last corner, I think, is going to be the one that catches out quite a lot of people. We've seen, uh, yeah. Oh no, yes, definitely push too hard. But you're not the only one who went off there. Um, there's a number of people who have gone off at that corner so far during practice and in qualifying as well. So I think that one's going to be the very, very interesting corner throughout the race. It's 30 minutes. It's going to take a lot of concentration to keep the cars on track. Um, so we'll see how we go. Yeah, this is my first commentary, so definitely, if anybody's got any pointers or tips on the commentary, happy for the feedback. But um, very happy to sit back and actually watch a race. I do a lot of iRacing, and I probably don't do enough of watching people race. So this will actually be pretty fun to sit back and see how you all do. Um, we've picked up Haley here. Haley's jumped up to first position. That's why we've jumped onto her on the timing screen. 57.3, which is a very, very good time. So better than anything she did in practice. So that practice has really helped her improve, and she got a bit of a slipstream here as well, which might help the timing. So bit of a smart play by them, but also a risky play. When you're this close to people in qualifying, it can be helpful, but it can also um, provide some difficulties if they make a mistake or they have a bit of a bobble in a corner, and then they're right on you, and they can sort of ruin your lap. So there's risk and reward with doing something like that. But we've just got Amy jumping up to P2, so that lack of practice has not hurted Amy at all. 57.7, about 4 tenths off, 3.5, 4 tenths off first place, and jumped straight into being competitive. So Amy definitely didn't need the practice there, proving that they'll be an interesting one to watch during the race. So the top three at the moment, George has jumped into the 57s as well. Everybody's in the 57. And here's Matthew. Here we go. 8 minutes to go, and everybody's on the track and setting really, really good times. And here's Amy back on track now, like we just mentioned. We were following Amy just at the start of qualifying there when they joined the lobby and hadn't done a lot of practice, and they had a couple of spins, but they've come good. Proof that you just need to find the limit sometimes when you're out on track for the first time. But if these times are anything to go by, this race will be very, very interesting to watch. So just watching the Williams go around. So this back chicane is also one that, in my experience in these Formula cars, does prove a bit difficult. It's not really a place that I would recommend making a pass, but a lot of people get a run, get a bit greedy, I think, and try to force the car through, and it really requires people to be, I guess, mindful of the cars around them. And if someone's on your inside, my recommendation is always to let them by. There's no point trying to force the issue. Oh, here's a spin. Very easy to do. Let's just go on board there and see what happened. I think they just grabbed, here we go. I think they just grabbed the grass there, which is very easy to do. If you get too deep into this corner, so they just missed the apex, weren't near the curb, they just grabbed the grass there and just very light spin. Nothing to really worry about for Amy at the moment because, like we said, they're setting very very competitive times. but very easy spin to do. And we'll just grab Matthew here. Matthew's sitting in third position at the moment, 57.5. But they're really got to do something to catch George. George is the only one during this whole lobby at the moment who's been setting times in the 56s. 56.8 at the moment. Very similar pace to what they had during qualifying as well. Oh. That's the fourth person who's gone off there, so Matthew's in good company. I think, that corner really sort of it really sort of encourages you to take it deep on the brakes. But once you do and you miss the apex, or if you grab too much of the apex and too much of the curb, it can just throw you into the grass there. But nearly everybody in the lobby's done it so far. So, like I said earlier in the broadcast, it'll be very interesting to see who is able to keep it off that grass there, because I think during the race, it's probably going to be the most interesting corner to watch based off what everybody's been doing. So we're just back on Amy at the moment. Currently just sitting under a second off P1, off George's time, so 0.9 off. And let's just go... Can we pick up Jessica? Sometimes iRacing, in all its wisdom, struggles to pick up cars, so we'll just go pick up Hayley at the moment. I wanted to pick up Jessica because they have improved their time. They were setting 59s in practice there in early qualifying, and they've picked it up to 58.5, so they've got in the game. And I think when you've got cars that close in qualifying, race pace is a different thing. So that's actually a pretty tight little bunch there in the top five. We've got Hayley here. Hayley's sitting in P2. They have been the closest to George all throughout practice and qualifying at the moment, so they are probably the one that is going to be the biggest challenger to George during this 30-minute race. But really, qualifying is only one piece of the puzzle. You've really got to make sure that you keep the car on track during that 30-minute race, and I'm really hoping that people are a bit more cautious when it comes to the last corner, because that will be really the proof in the pudding as to who's going to win this race, who can actually be consistent and set consistent laps and keep the car on the black stuff. So only 2 minutes to go in qualifying here, so we've only got 5 people at the moment who have set times. Oh, we've got somebody off there. Let's go have a look what happened there. Very easy to do. If you lock up here, yeah, there we go. Very good decision. Very smart decision. So when you lock up there, in a touring car you probably could risk it and go around, but in a formula car, it's really important to try to avoid those big curbs inside the corners. Maybe we'll go on board and I'll see if I can point that out. But Matthew definitely made a very good decision there to just go straight off and not try to make the corner, because trying to make the corner and hitting those really big curbs, we'll go on board, or we'll do a far chase with Matthew here on this lap. So we'll come along to this chicane, and you'll see the curbs there. I think, mate, Lime Rock Park, self-spinning is that you can't avoid it. Um, so we've got 30 seconds to go. See those orange curbs there? You hit those orange curbs in a Formula car, and it's the end of your day, really. But let's go. George, I assume you're in the pits. Everybody's sort of in the pits. It's the end of qualifying at the moment. 4 seconds to go. It looks like George is on top. Very, very good time. 56.8. Still the only person to get in the 56s. But still a very close and competitive field. Covered by the top four, covered by less than a second. And Jessica not too far off of 58.5. So I think it's still going to be a pretty interesting race. Like I said, 30 minutes is a long time. Um, you have to keep it on the black stuff. And a second is a uh, pretty good coverage of these cars on this track. The over under on number 40 self spins. uh, Look, I'm just happy to watch you all, to be honest. I'm glad I'm not on track because sometimes these Formula cars, they can be tricky. This definitely is not my favorite track either, to be honest. If I'm if I'm honest about tracks on iRacing, this one, it's nice to do time trial on. It's a good, nice flowing track to get some clean laps, but definitely not my favorite track to drive on. Um, but you all seem like clean races, and I'm looking forward to the race here. So iRacing is just booting up. Everybody's getting on track. We've got a few people who've lined up at the moment. George is on pole. Here we are. Very nice livery there. And we're just waiting. Let's see what. Alright, let's do this TV angle. It's a very, very good one. We've got a whole grid here. We're getting ready to go. High revs. And here we go. Here's the race. The first ever Rainbow Racing League race. Formula 1600 at Lime Rock Park, round one. And George, fantastic start by George. And he's got Amy right behind him. Amy got a very, very good start from that third position. Followed by Haley, Jessica, and Matthew at the moment. Um, Alright, so 5 cars here. Hopefully more for the following rounds, but George has got a blinding start here. zero point 0.8 of a second lead, which is very, very good in Formula cars on a first lap. Very smooth. And a clean start by everybody, which is good to see. So everybody's single file at the moment. Nothing too interesting, which, to be honest, is what you want. And we'll pick up Amy here in P2. Amy's been the biggest surprise for me. They joined late in practice, and they really came good in qualifying there. Proof that when you know these cars and you know this track, you can set good times. So George has got a 1.4 second lead at the moment, but Amy and Haley here in pretty close quarters. This might look to be a very close battle, but Matthew in qualifying as well. These 3 cars right here you can see on track, they were only covered by about 4 tenths of a second during qualifying. So I think this is where the battle is for the race. And Jessica's fallen off a little bit here. Something's happened to Jessica. She was on the back of this train. Let's go back and have a bit of a look to see what happened. So this last corner, this is alright, here we are. Alright, maybe it's back here. So It's a bit early in the race now, 30 minutes like I said, so it's not... Ah, here we go. So this is the curb I was telling you all about. That curb is brutal, absolutely brutal. Um, and unfortunately, in Formula cars, they don't have a lot of good suspension. So when you hit those curbs, you really you're a passenger. Oh, the leader's gone off. Leader's gone off, and Amy's gone through to the lead. Oh, what a move by Amy! Fantastic. All right, we've got a battle for the lead here. George dropped it at the chicane. Um, Now it'll be very, very interesting to see. This will be a good battle here because George has obviously got pace, um, but now Amy's got track position. So George has to just be mindful that he can't rush the move, um, and they've got to just be patient. It's a long race. We've still got, um, we're only four laps into this race, so it's early days. Um, Now this will be good. This will be good for everybody to watch. Um, to see how Amy goes defending the position. We've got two really good battles here. Small field, but very, very close racing. So we've got P1 and P2 here, George and Amy fighting it out. And we've also got a battle here between Matthew and Haley for P3. Um, and Haley was ahead of Matthew earlier, and Haley must have had a bit of a wobble as well. Um, So here we go onto the front straight. Everybody seems to have settled into a bit of a rhythm, but I think it's this lead battle we really want to watch. This is where it's going to be really important for Amy just to maintain their lines. The thing about Lime Rock Park is there's not a lot of places to make clean moves. Really, the first corner is the only corner on track where you can make a good clean move if you get a good run off the last corner. Oh, there we go. Those curbs have caught Jessica out. I think they caught George out as well. And Amy was very, very close to the edge there. Just clipped one of them. So here's what I was mentioning about the last corner. George is really, really close. If George can get a good run here, get into the slipstream and then pop it down the inside, that's probably the safest and easiest place to go. And Amy's onto it, covers the inside line. George is going to the outside. I don't think the outside's where you want to be. Alright. Good defensive driving by Amy there. Held it in tight. And oh, alright, this is going to be a very, very interesting battle. George is sitting in there, looking at Amy's lines and trying to think, where can I make the move? But like we said, we're lap 6 here of 30. There's no need to rush. So George is just going to be patient. He's probably a little annoyed at himself that he lost the lead. Oh, we've got a crash for Haley. Oh, George nearly had a spin there and went off. But he saved it, and he's lost a bit of time now. So 1.2 second lead by Amy. Amy is the class of the field at the moment in this early running. Clean and consistent, hasn't made any mistakes, and George is the faster car, but he's just having a bit of a struggle at the moment, keeping it clean. And that's really what's costing him. But it is a long race. We might go back now just to have a look at this crash from Haley, which is really unfortunate. So Haley was sitting in P4. Is sitting in P4. Let's see what happens here. The first corner. Just a bit too much speed, and you're a passenger from there. Let's go on board for that one. Yeah, just a bit too much speed. Very, very easy to do. So we've all been there. That corner, just like the last corner, if you have the wrong angle and you take it in the wrong way, it's very, very easy to go off. So let's go back to the lead and right on board with George a little bit here to see if he can find a way past. quite good to watch at the moment. He's being very patient here. He's not getting on the accelerator as hard as he usually would. Oh, we might have a run here. Now the question is, he's got the slipstream, but Amy's up to the game. She can see that George really wants to set up the pass for turn one, and like I said, turn one is really the only place on track you can make a good clean pass unless somebody makes a mistake. So Amy's driving very smart here, maintaining their line, not being defensive at all in this middle part of the track. And George is showing, oh, this is not a place you want to do a pass. Smart driving by George. Faked it there a little bit and Amy had to cover the inside line. But George is driving smart here. Be patient. Don't rush it. Lap 9 of 30. Just about to start the 10th lap, so we're only a third into the race. Still a very, very long way to go. It's a very good run by George here. Let's see what he does. So the only choice is to go to the outside, and you do not want to be on the outside of this corner. He's going to try to a switchback, but Amy's awake to it, and they're doing a really good job of maintaining that line on the inside there. Oh, George. Too close, too close. Very, very good driving by those two. Very good, clean driving. George has got a lot of good spatial awareness there. It's very nice to see. Amy was maintaining their line, being very, very defensive there, but not being aggressive with her defense. And so George has got the work cut out for them. That's all I can say. So here we are, starting lap 11 at the moment. What George needs to do is get a really, really good run off the final corner and get up the inside before Amy can get to the right hand side of the track. It's either that or he's got to rely on Amy potentially faltering under pressure and just pinching a brake there, because when you're taking a tight line there at turn one, like Amy's doing every single lap, you pinch one brake and you're off into the grass with that tight line. So let's just have a look at what everybody else is up to. So the thing about this battle between Amy and George is it is bringing Matthew into the battle. And so Matthew's not too far off, and potentially if they keep fighting it could draw him into it. Although, as I say that, Matthew looks like they've made a little bit of a mistake. I think it's into the chicane. Here we go, let's go back and have a look. Oh, very good save. What a very good car control there. That curb. That curb is not your friend. But that was actually pretty cool to see from Matthew there. Very good car control. Bit of a drift. But here's Matthew in a P3. Sitting there about 4.3 seconds off the lead. Oh. Just going back to George and Amy, I just saw 0.1 between them, which is very, very close. I thought a move was on here, but Amy doing a extremely good job holding George off at the moment. George is... Oh! Here we go. George continually looks like he's going to get a run, but Amy, the lines they're picking, they're doing a very, very good job. And even that run off the last corner there, they just didn't have to even pick a defensive line. That's the first time in about 5 or 6 laps Amy has been able to take the proper line into the first corner with the lead they had going in there. Oh, George down the inside. What a move. But the problem here is they're on the outside. George, they're coming over the radio to apologise. I think... look, Amy had the inside open there. I think it was a fair move considering how defensive Amy's doing. And they were very, very clean there. So, all fair in love and war when you're on the racetrack. You leave a gap. So Amy's gone a bit defensive there, which is going to really jeopardize their run. And George, see, this is what I was saying earlier. That's what George wants to do. Get a good run off the corner and get on the inside line before Amy can get over to the inside. He nearly did it there. Oh, this is a very, very good battle for the lead. Oh, George, no! A spin. But he saved it and he's back on. And I think with the pace George has, we've got half the race to go still. We're on lap 14 or 30. With the pace George has, he's going to be able to catch Amy. So no issue there. It's a bit of a shame. We're having a really, really good battle there, and it's brought Matthew up to the back of George. I don't know whether Matthew's got anything for him. But, yeah, I think George will have to wait a little while, but I think George has got the pace to catch Amy. So let's just go back and have a bit of a look at what happened there. I think he just got too close to the back of Amy here. Yeah. Just in trying to avoid the back end of Amy's car, it's just gone into a bit of a spin. But these cars, like I mentioned in practice, are very easy to do. No aero. And so because of that, when they get unweighted, when you go too fast into a corner or hit the brakes too hard, they can turn around on you. And there's nothing even a good driver can do to save those sometimes. But here we are back with Amy. Amy's got a 1.8 second lead at the moment. And George is still, even in the time we've been here, 0.2 of a second they've gained in that half of a lap. So I think George is going to be on the back of Amy very, very quickly. We're going to see this battle again. But let's... So here's Matthew in third place, having a very good, clean drive here. In the Crayola livery. Love it. Love to see it. Very fun livery there. But sitting in third position there. Having a very, very good, clean race. And they've closed in. They were 4.6 seconds off the lead earlier, and they've closed into 3 seconds. So who knows? As the race goes on, Matthew might become a player in the battle for the lead. And we'll go back and look at Haley. Haley was battling with Matthew early on. They had a bit of an issue at the chicane earlier, and since then they've been putting in consistent laps, but sitting here 10 seconds off the lead in 4th place. And here's Jessica Perry in the Marlboro livery. I love it, as I mentioned. A homage to, I'm sure a homage to the McLaren liveries, Formula 1 liveries of the late 80s, early 90s. Sitting here in P5. Oh, something's happened here. George is off again. Sorry to jump. From Jessica, I saw on my timing that something happened. Let's go back and have a bit of a look at that. Let's see what happened here. So, Amy's picked the inside. George just in the lead. He could see it. He could see the opportunity to try and outbrake and sweep around the outside. Very good move if you can do it. It is doable. So full credit to George for going for that position. I think after so long of trying to see whether they could get up the inside of Amy, it was really the only option there to try and see if they could sweep around the outside with a late braking move. But yeah, very, very good battle in this race. But now, like we mentioned a few laps ago, Matthew's in this battle. Matthew's just been clean, consistent, really just biding their time. And like I mentioned, they were 4 seconds off the lead about 5 laps ago. And because this little battle between Amy and George, it's now become a three-way fight for the lead. And if we look at times as well, Matthew... Oh, here we go. Here's a challenge for the lead up front. We'll go back to talking about times in a second. But, so, Yeah, Matthew and George, the only two to get properly in the 56. Oh, oh, there's contact. There's contact. Just as I was hyping Matthew up. Let's go back here. Um, he saw the move. It was on.
I'm sorry, Matthew.
Ah, yeah. I wonder. I'm not going to pass judgment here. Let's go on board with Matthew. We'll go to a far chase cam just to see that one. It was a bit of a late move by Matthew, but George could have left more room. So I think I would honestly say that's a bit of a racing incident. Um, let's go. Let's go again. Yeah, like Matthew did lock the brakes there a little bit. So we'll have a look at this one more time. So a bit of a late move, to be honest, and there was a little bit of a locked brake there. George could have potentially left more room, um, but yeah, I think they're probably both got a bit to play in that one. But I'll leave that up to the officiating to make decisions here. Uh, it's not my job. I'm just the commentator. And I'm glad to not be the one to be making decisions on incidents like that. But very unfortunate because Matthew was doing an exceptional job in the race there, and had really, like I said, uh, made a conscious decision to just be consistent and wait and wait and wait. And they'd gained about 4 or 5 seconds there during the race while Amy and George were having a bit of a battle. Um, and maybe just a bit of, um, yeah, probably had been having a very calm race, and then all of a sudden they were in the battle for the lead and saw a gap there, and yeah, potentially that was also the line they'd been taking on their own as well. Sometimes it does take a bit of time to adjust um, when you're when you're when you're running on your own and you've got cars in front of you. Adjust your braking to take into consideration potentially some slower people. So
Oh, man, I've got damage now.
we've just heard. I think it is. Let's have a look. We just heard someone come on the radio talking about damage, and it might be Matthew actually. I think it won't be surprising if they've got a bit of damage on the car. Oh Jesus! All right. The moment I leave the leaders, bit of contact here. I think. Oh. Okay, that was a bit messy. Bit of a messy rejoin there for Amy. And Matthew. Oh. Okay. All right. Very unfortunate to see. Let's. Okay. Let's just go. We might just watch this unfold a bit here before we go and look at the replay. I think Amy's probably going to have a bit of damage here, unfortunately. Yeah, they've got a flat tyre by the looks of it at the front. Um, so George tried to go around the outside there. We've seen him do it a few laps earlier. Um, let's go have a look. So Amy is covered like they've been doing quite often, and George has decided, no, the move's happening. I think, yeah, I'll leave that up to the officiating, uh, but George, I don't think had really much to do there on the outside. They're given a lot of room on the inside. Let's go back and have a look. Let's um, let's have a look here on the chase cam. Yeah, look, I think George maintained their line. And the thing about when you're spun, it, when you spin, you panic, and you really want to get off the racing line. Um, oh, good, there was no contact there. I was worried there was a bit of contact there, but I think both of those cars probably just have a bit of damage now, which is unfortunate. So the thing is, let's just go back and have one more look at this one. So when you're on the inside here, it's very hard to keep it on the like. I just think that's a racing incident. Unfortunately, Amy just struggled to maintain the line, and George really had nowhere to go. George gave as much room as he could on the inside there, and I just think, unfortunately, that's a turn one racing incident again. But unfortunately for Amy now, they find themselves down in P4. They've drove a good race for the first 20 laps. Really good defensive race, and I thought potentially they were going to be on for the win. Um, so we've got Amy in P4, and Haley's had a bit of a quiet one. They had an incident at the start of the race, but they've picked up P3. So they're running consistently. So Haley here in P3, setting good times, 57.1 for the last lap. But the only two drivers of the race at the moment who have been setting 56s are Matthew and George here. And Matthew and George came together a bit earlier. Matthew was playing the waiting game and saw his opportunity to potentially make a move up the inside. But yeah, just unfortunate racing incident, I think. And had a bit of a spin at the first corner. So George now with a quite considerable lead, 6.9 seconds, and we'll pick up George here in P1. So George in P1, 6.9 seconds ahead of Matthew. Haley in third. Amy just up the road. There we saw them. Oh, we've got a spin here. Oh, we've got okay. Matthew's decided to go in the pits. I think probably potentially the damage was too much for Matthew to take into consideration. So hopefully it's just we've got quick fixes here. So hopefully they'll just fix the car, head back out straight away. Well, they look like they're changing tyres as well. But Haley has now found themselves in P2. So yeah, only one mistake at the start of the race, and then they've been very, very clean and consistent. So Haley's probably played the smarter game here by keeping out of the battles. But here we go. Amy's now picked up P3 with Matthew still sitting in the pits. But Matthew's coming out now, so they're a lap down as the leaders come by to lap them, but potentially they could pick up Amy as well, but we haven't got long to go. What are we now? We're sitting lap 26 of 30. And we'll just pick up Jessica as well. We haven't heard much from Jessica. She's having a bit of a lonely race here, which is a bit of a shame because that livery is beautiful. But yeah, I guess sometimes with Lime Rock Park, it's very, very hard to have the field maintain a close quarters for a 30 lap race. It is a very long race. But Jessica here sitting in P5, 2 laps down on the race lead at the moment, but still having a clean race down here. So what we'll do, we'll pick up the leader at the moment. It looks like it's potentially going to be a bit of a quiet one to close out the race, but it has been an extremely good race. I've actually been very happy to commentate this. George has been involved in the thick of it, but I think, George has driven a good race. I don't think George has done anything inherently problematic with their driving. Just good, hard racing. But we'll leave that up to the race director to make a decision about the incidents that have happened during the race. Potentially there might be some repercussions for some of the contact that's occurred during the race, but not my decision to make. And so at the moment George is leading. George has been the class of the field throughout this whole first round. Top practice, top qualifying, the only person to be in the 56s in both practice and qualifying. And was leading early on there, pulled out to nearly a 2-second lead at the start of the race, before making just a little bit of an error in the chicane at the back here. And that gave the lead to Amy, and Amy did an extremely good job. Really impressive driving, defensive driving. to maintain the lead for nearly 20 laps there in the race. And George made one or two mistakes in trying to get past Amy, and dropped back into the hands of Matthew. And then Matthew, seeing an opportunity to try and get P2 and become a factor in the race, went down the inside, and Matthew and George made contact. And so that's why Matthew's sitting down in P4 at the moment. They had to come in. Oh, as I was speaking, Haley looks like they're in the pits. What's happened here? So Haley's just had to come in the pits. Potentially in this race, I think that might have been a pit for fuel. So there's no incident on the board for Haley. So I think potentially they've just been a bit thirsty, a bit too harsh on the loud pedal, and they might have just had to come into the pits for fuel there. So Haley's dropped back to P3, and Amy has picked back up position 2. So not all lost for Amy in the race. Only 52 seconds off the lead. Still on the lead lap, which is good for Amy. But you know, they were battling for the lead, like I said. So there was a good battle for the lead in the middle of the race there between George, Amy, and Matthew, and there was a few bits of contact. First between Matthew and George. Oh, we've got an incident here for George. Has George run out of fuel? Potentially George has run out of fuel. I think George has run out of fuel. Oh, this is... Oh my god! Right before the finish line, George has run out of fuel. I'm not sure whether George has picked up... I don't think George has picked up the checkered flag. Oh my god, this is high drama here. This is very reminiscent of Toyota LMP1 at Le Mans 24 Hour a few years ago, where Toyota was in a lap of winning the Le Mans 24 Hour for the first time, and just ran out of fuel. But Amy might come through here for the win. Here's Amy coming off the last corner. I think Amy's going to just steal the win at the last moment. Here we go first. I can't believe it. There we go. Amy in P1. George sitting... so maybe George...
Great race, Amy. You deserve that one.
Okay, alright. No. Less drama than I thought. Not deserve. Okay, that's fair, George. I think maybe you could have left that up to the officials to make a decision about that one. Because I think it was a bit of line ball.
I realized too late you're waiting for me. You had to deserve that, George. You
Yeah.
did very well. I went too wide when it's fun.
Yeah, I think Amy's right there if everybody can hear
Great pace. Great pace.
Amy
Nice
on the
battle.
speaker. Look, very good battle between Amy and George, but the final standings is Amy in P1, Amy Greamy for the first win in the Rainbow Racing League 1600s here. George Williams in P2, 1.7 seconds away. Haley Leno in P3, Matthew Baker P4, and Jessica Perry in P5. So that's the final standings. And maybe if we want to go back, can I find this incident between the two? So this is the incident we're talking about. So George, no worries, George. Thank you for the race. That was honestly an amazing race to watch. And we're just going back to this incident where the incident that has prompted... I thought you ran out of fuel. I honestly thought you ran out of fuel. But here's the incident. We'll go 10 seconds back and we'll... Oh no, I picked up the wrong one. Here we go. This is the right one. So this is the incident that that happened in the middle of the race. Amy just going a bit wide here. I think honestly, as a racing incident, George, you probably could have fairly... Oh, and see that rejoin there as well. Required Amy to come in for a bit of repairs. But we'll go back to some live pictures now of the track. Well, that's the race there, as I mentioned. No worries, Jess. I'm gonna... Yeah, George, that one. Let's go back and have a look at that one with Matthew. Actually, we'll do a full wrap up if I can find it. Where is it? Is it this one? No. Can I find it? Here we go. This is the Matthew one. So you look, Matthew as well. I think both those incidents, George, honestly, bit of a line ball racing incident, those two. I think both the cars on the inside maybe just got a bit deep and went a bit wide. The one that's a really good shot of this is the far chase. Because I think overall, I think you all raced a clean race. I think these are good, hard racing incidents, and none of you should feel bad about any of these contacts, really. I think it's all really fair. That's what happens in racing. You've got to go for moves sometimes. Yeah, that's fair. And yeah, I think I agree with you, Jess. Yeah, I think unfortunately Amy's got a bit to answer for the rejoin. If we go back, um, all right, before I end the stream, if we go back here, I think. Oh, hi Haley, welcome. Um, Thanks for the racing. Yeah, I think here is. I think you're right, Jess. I think this rejoin. Yeah, Amy should have just maintained position there before you went by, and so I unfortunately think that's a fair penalty for Amy. So George, you might get the win anyway. Um, but I'll let the officiating decide that. I'm not going to get involved. I'm the commentator. But I might. Yeah, exactly. Hard racing, contact's always going to happen, and I think everybody raced a good race. I think it was really, really fun to watch, especially in the early laps. But yeah, I might wrap up the stream there, everyone. Um, Very, very good race, very good racing. Um, in the top left-hand corner is the provisional standings for the race. Amy Greemy with the provisional win, followed by George Williams, Haley Lano, Matthew Baker, and Jessica Perry. But there potentially might be a penalty coming Amy's way. Um, the winning bet was the under on my self spins. The thing is, I think everybody had a spin at some point in that race. Everybody had their time in the grass, which is typical Lime Rock Park. Um, anyway, all right, everyone. I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Thank you all for joining, and thank you, Jess and the team at Rainbow Racing for allowing me to commentate for my first time. Hopefully, people enjoyed it. And we'll catch you next week at the same time. Round two. Let's have a look. Actually, let's have a bit of a look at what round two is first before we log off, just to let everybody know. So the same time next week, I might actually put it in the stream schedule, just so that it's there for everybody to look at. But round two will be at Alton Park Circuit. So next week, same time, round two. Looking forward to an equally good race next week. That was honestly really fun. Oh, Haley, you're not too far off. I think next I'm going to call it. I think next week is going to be a battle between four or five of you. That was a really good to see a battle between 2 to 3 people. For the battle for the lead for nearly the whole race. But anyway, all right, I'm going to wrap up the broadcast. It is 7:30 in the morning here in Australia, so I'm going to go grab some breakfast, I think. But thanks for watching, everybody who did, and thanks for the racing, everyone. That was really fun to commentate, and really good, hard racing by everybody there. And I look forward to seeing everybody next week. All right, see you later.